very easy when using the internet for work or for something you intend to look up to very quickly end up looking at something else. Maybe it's a site that a friend has shared with you, and during the week a friend on Facebook had shared a site which I found fascinating. It was about the depth of the ocean, and you can look up this clip on YouTube if you are interested. I didn't know that recreational scuba divers go to 40 meters maximum, and whales can go to 500 meters. But the deepest part of the ocean that the sunlight reaches is 1,000 meters. And just over 4,000 meters is the average depth of the ocean. Just under 9,000 meters is the equivalent of the height of Everest underwater. And the deepest part of the ocean that humans have ever been to is just over 10,000 meters. And the very deepest part of the ocean is in the Mariana Trench, and it's over 11,000 meters deep. Well, this isn't just a reflection about the depth of the ocean, but it relates to this weekend's gospel reading. When Jesus says to the disciples who have not caught any fish, and there they are washing their nets on the shore, he says to them, "Go out again and put your nets out into the deep." Into the deep. Into the deep. And as I was reflecting on this, I thought how often my life has really lived to develop the image a little bit simply on the surface. I go about the many things that I have to do each day. I respond to the demands or the requests of people. I do what I think is helpful, but very often this can be just living on the surface. And every now and then, I'm thinking too of the times when I'm in the water, I don't think I've been more deep than perhaps 2 or 3 meters, certainly not much more. But there is so much more. If we simply stay on the surface in our relationship with other people and in our relationship with Christ, we can hardly really say that we are living life. We can say perhaps that we are existing, we are coping, we're managing, we're getting through, but this really isn't life. Life is found when we are prepared to take the risk to put out into the deep. That means being unafraid of the depths, the hidden parts of ourselves. This really is a call to maturity. And often in our presentation of the faith, this call to maturity is forgotten. We're happy to live as Christians, perhaps around the surface. Sure, we keep some of the teachings, and maybe we even turn up on Sundays. But if we are not living life in relationship with Christ, in the depth of our being, we're hardly more than existing or surviving. This Sunday is just a couple of days before Ash Wednesday, the beginning of the season of Lent. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to put out into the deep. The relationship with Christ that we desire to live, that every person desires to live, whether or not they express it in those words, this relationship with Christ is what enables us to live fully. Without this, we are surviving or existing, but it is only in relationship with Christ that we are living. This is the experience of the disciples, isn't it? Because if we just take this passage that is today's gospel reading from the 5th chapter of Luke, they're there given up after a bad night's fishing, not catching anything, washing their nets, about to maybe go home for the day. And Jesus comes and actually gets into the boat of Simon Peter. And there he is in the boat saying to them, "Put out again." And it's Simon Peter who responds, "Well, we've caught nothing all night, but if you say to go out again and to put down the nets, we will do this." And they do it, and what happens? They catch so many fish that their boat overflows. They call their mates. That boat then also begins to overflow. Simon Peter's response to this great event is very interesting. He turns away and says, "Away from me, Lord. Away, I am sinful." And this moment is the perfect response to awareness of the beauty, the fullness, the depth of the love of God for us. Immediately we realize the depth of the love of God for us, we're aware of our own shame, our own weakness, and our own imperfection. But Christ is wanting to meet us in that place. When we're full of ourselves and perhaps feeling perfect or successful, having achieved much, we really have no capacity for God's love. And it's when we, like Simon Peter, in that moment, become aware of our weakness and frailty, and even respond to the Lord saying, "Away from me," then we're at the real beginning moment for maturity and faith. What happens then? Christ calls them again. No, it's you that I want. Come. And they leave everything, the reading concludes, and follow him. This was the beginning of the fullness of their lives. The fullness of their earthly lives, yes, and also the fullness of their eternal lives, when they were prepared to, with Christ, put out into the deep.